Okay, so let's dive deep into some of the common mistakes that we made in the previous worksheet. So I have the worksheet in my hands, which we collected from last lessons. So here are four questions that are easily make some mistake. So the first one is Luca earns 30. So this is a MCQ. So Lucas earned $30,000 from his part-time job, and how much of his income is taxed at 0%? So let's interpret this question together. So the question asks how much of his income is taxed at 0%, which means what is the tax-free threshold? I've already provided the tax tables on the left-hand corner. So you can see if your taxable income is between 0 to $18,200, you wouldn't need to pay any tax regarding your income level. So the answer of this question is $80,200. So every time if you see kind of question like these, this is actually the first step to determine what is the tax rate applied on your income. All right? Is everyone clear about that? Good. So let's take a look at the second mistake, which is, well, some of the people, they're not updating the tax return by the end of the financial year. And well, most of people believe that if your income is below the tax-free threshold, you don't need to launch any tax return, which is not true. So let's take a look at this question together. The questions asked if a student earned below $80,200 per year, which is under the tax-free threshold, they still need to launch a tax return to claim back tax already deducted. This is actually true. And let me tell you why. Because most of the employers will usually take out tax from paychecks. So you can see the pay slip. There is row sets the PAYG, so it stands for pay as you go. This amount would be subtracted from your income. So you wouldn't receive that amount. This amount is charged by employers. So they withhold this amount money and they can be deducted by the end of the financial year. It's all up to how much you made for that year. So the only way to get the money back if your income level is below the tax-free threshold is to launch a tax return. So please remember that. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So this is a scenario-based analysis and calculation. So Francis earned $23,000 that year, and the tax-free threshold is $80,200. So we keep reinforce this kind of ideas of like how much is the tax-free threshold, and everything above that is taxed at 16%. So when we look at back to the tax table, you will find the 60 cents for each $1 over $80,200 here. So it sits at the second bracket. So the question asks calculate how much tax Francis pays for that year. The first things we need to work out is which tax bracket does his income set. So we can see the second bracket because he earned $23,000 that year. So it sits in between $80,200 and $45,000. So the amount to go over $80,200 will be charged by 60%. So the second step is to calculate amount go over the tax-free threshold. We use his income level to minus the tax-free threshold where we get $4,800. That amount will be charged by 60%. So how we calculate the tax amount? We simply use $4,800 multiplied by 60%, where we get $768. So always remember to multiply, not divide by 60%, because this equation means the 60% of the amount that go over tax-free threshold will be the tax that collected by the government. So we use multiply, we're not using divide. Okay, so we have to make distinguish between multiply, the meaning of multiply, and divide. Okay, next one. So we have a second scenario, which I think my profile just like cover some of the questions, so I will read it for you. So a pair of shoes cost $90 before GST, where we assume GST is 10%. So how much GST is added, and what is the final price of the pair of shoes? So the first step we need to work out is like how much amount of GST we're gonna pay for these shoes. So 10% applied on the original cost, which is 90%, where we get $9. The $9 will be the GST. Okay. And the final price is simply added $9 on the original cost, which is $90, where we get $99. So that's the final price of the pair of shoes. And these questions can be even more complicated, like they provide you with the final price and tell you that the GST equals to 10% and let you work out what is original cost of that shoes. So it's like a reverse, it's a reverse process, but we're gonna take a look at that once later. Okay, so now we only need to understand that GST is applied on the original cost of the product. Does it make sense to everyone? So if you got any questions, send an email to either me or Hazel, so we will help you to resolve everything.